Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, I want to tell you a story that starts with a lie, but ends with the truth so powerful it breaks a billionaire's heart in the best way possible. This is the story of a father who had everything money could buy, a son he loved more than his empire, and a young woman whose character would be tested in a way she never expected. The man at the center of this story was known to the world as Daniel Ashcroft, a billionaire real estate tycoon whose name was carved into skyscrapers, hospitals, and universities. He was a man who could buy silence, loyalty, and admiration. But one thing had always worried him. He had seen too many marriages destroyed by greed. He had seen sons and daughters fall in love with people who loved the lifestyle more than the person. And now, his only son Liam was engaged. Liam was different from his father. Where Daniel was sharp, guarded, and always calculating, Liam was open-hearted and trusting. He believed people were good until proven otherwise. When Liam introduced his fiancée Emily, Daniel smiled politely, shook her hand, and congratulated them. But inside, his mind was already asking questions. Was she in love with Liam, or with the Ashcroft fortune? Emily came from a modest background. She worked as a children's therapist, earned an honest living, and lived in a small apartment filled with books and plants. On the surface, she seemed kind, warm, and sincere. But Daniel had learned the hard way that appearances could deceive. So he decided to test her, not out of cruelty, but out of fear. Fear of seeing his son's heart shattered one day. Daniel owned dozens of properties, including a private residential complex where Liam and Emily often visited. It was a place with high walls, security cameras, and uniformed guards at the gate. And that was where Daniel came up with his plan. One afternoon, Daniel dressed himself in old-worn clothes. He put on faded trousers, a threadbare jacket, and a cap that shadowed his face. He left his luxury car behind and arrived early at the gatehouse before any of the regular staff. To anyone passing by, he looked like a poor, elderly gatekeeper, filling in for the day. His hands, used to signing billion-dollar deals, now held a clipboard. His back, once straight with confidence, was slightly hunched. Daniel Ashcroft, the billionaire, disappeared. In his place stood an old man with tired eyes and a humble posture. Later that day, Liam and Emily arrived at the gate in their car. Liam was driving, laughing about something Emily had said. When they reached the gate, Daniel stepped forward, raising his hand gently to stop them. Liam rolled down the window. Daniel lowered his head respectfully and spoke in a soft, almost fragile voice, explaining that there was a temporary delay. He said the system was down and he needed to check their names manually. Liam smiled and nodded, clearly not bothered, but Daniel's eyes shifted to Emily. This was the moment he had been waiting for. Would she sigh in annoyance? Would she look down on him? Would she complain? Instead, Emily smiled. She leaned forward slightly and asked if he was feeling okay. She noticed his shaking hands, the sweat on his brow. She offered him a bottle of water from her bag without hesitation. Daniel was taken aback. This wasn't part of the script he had imagined in his head. As Daniel pretended to fumble with the clipboard, he deliberately took longer. He apologized again and again, expecting frustration to show on her face. But Emily simply said it was no problem. She told him to take his time and even joked that everyone deserved a slow day once in a while. Daniel felt something unfamiliar tighten in his chest. After a few minutes, he told them they could pass. As Liam drove away, Daniel watched Emily turn around in her seat and wave at him through the rear window, smiling warmly. It was a small gesture, but it stayed with him. That should have been the end of it. But Daniel wasn't satisfied yet. He wanted to see how far her kindness went. So over the next few weeks, he repeated the disguise several times, always appearing as the poor gatekeeper whenever Emily visited alone or with Liam. Each time, Emily treated him with the same respect. She greeted him by name after learning it. She asked about his health. Once, she brought him homemade soup because he mentioned his joints hurt in the cold. Another time, she stayed late in the rain, holding an umbrella over his head while they talked about life. Daniel started to dread these encounters, not because they were unpleasant, but because they were breaking down the walls he had built around his heart. He had gone into this test expecting to confirm his fears. Instead, he was confronting his own cynicism. The real test came on a day Daniel planned carefully. He knew that Liam and Emily were hosting a small engagement gathering at one of his properties. Just before the guests arrived, Daniel positioned himself at the gate again, looking more worn than ever. When Emily arrived alone to help with preparations, Daniel stopped her and told her there was a problem. He said there was an issue with her name on the access list. He spoke nervously, as if afraid of losing his job. He hinted that his supervisor was strict and that mistakes could cost him everything. Then he said something that made Emily's smile fade. He told her that if she wanted, she could give him a little money, and he could make the problem go away. Daniel held his breath. This was the moment. Would she take advantage of him? Would she look at him with disappointment or disgust? Emily went silent for a second. Then she shook her head. She told him she couldn't do that. Not because she didn't have money, but because it wasn't right. She said she wouldn't risk his job or her integrity. Then she surprised him again. She suggested they go together to his supervisor and explain the situation honestly, even if it caused a delay. Daniel felt his eyes sting. He expected anger, maybe embarrassment. Instead, Emily offered him dignity. When Daniel insisted she might miss the event, Emily smiled softly and said some things were more important than being on time. She thanked him for doing his job and told him she hoped he had a good day. After she walked away, Daniel stood there, frozen. For the first time in years, the billionaire didn't feel powerful. He felt small and ashamed of doubting a woman who had shown more integrity than many executives he had worked with. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. He sat alone in his office, staring at the city lights from his penthouse window. Memories flooded back. Failed friendships. Broken marriages he had witnessed. People who smiled at him only when they wanted something. And then there was Emily, who smiled at a poor gatekeeper with nothing to offer. The next day, Daniel made his decision. He asked Liam and Emily to come to his estate for dinner. Emily was nervous. She respected Daniel and wanted his approval, but she could never quite read him. Liam reassured her, telling her his father was just old-fashioned. When they arrived, Daniel greeted them, dressed impeccably, every inch the billionaire patriarch. Dinner was served. Conversation was polite but tense. Emily answered questions honestly, never trying to impress. She spoke about her work, her passion for helping children, and her hopes for the future. Daniel listened quietly. After dessert, Daniel asked the staff to leave them alone. The room fell silent. Liam sensed something serious and reached for Emily's hand. Daniel took a deep breath. He began by telling a story about trust, about how money had taught him to doubt people. Then he looked directly at Emily and asked her if she remembered the old gatekeeper at the residential complex. Emily smiled immediately and said of course. She asked if he was doing okay and mentioned she hadn't seen him recently. Daniel single quotes his voice trembled as he told her the truth. He told her that the gatekeeper was him. The room went quiet. Emily stared at him, confused at first, then realization dawned. Her eyes widened. Liam looked between them, shocked. Daniel explained everything. The disguise, the tests, the moments he watched her kindness when she thought no one important was looking. He didn't excuse himself. He admitted that it was wrong to deceive her. He admitted that he had underestimated her. Then, in a moment that stunned both of them, Daniel stood up. The billionaire, the powerful man feared by boardrooms and politicians, bowed his head. He apologized. His voice broke as he said that her actions had reminded him of something he had lost long ago, faith in people. He told her that seeing her treat him with respect when he appeared to be nothing had moved him more than any business success ever had. Tears streamed down his face. Emily's eyes filled with tears too. She stood up and gently told him she understood his fear. She said she never loved Liam for his wealth, and she never would. She said she believed people should be treated with kindness, no matter who they are. Liam was silent, overwhelmed. Then he hugged his father tightly. Daniel cried openly. In his son's arms, that night changed everything. Daniel didn't just accept Emily. He embraced her as the daughter he never had. He supported her work, not with publicity or control, but with quiet donations to children's programs she cared about. He asked her opinion, listened to her values, and slowly began to change the way he saw the world. As for Emily, she never treated Daniel any differently after learning the truth. She still spoke to him with the same warmth she had shown the gatekeeper. And that, more than anything, told Daniel that his test had revealed something priceless. The wedding, months later, was beautiful but simple. During his speech, Daniel told the guests that the greatest wealth a person could have was character. Many didn't understand what he meant, but Emily did. And sometimes, when Daniel visited the residential complex, he would stop by the gate, chat with the staff, and remember the day he learned that love, humility, and kindness were worth more than all the billions he owned, because in the end, it wasn't the test that mattered. It was the heart it revealed.